shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty, breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty, breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. They try to silence us, but we won't be tamed. Voices getting louder, can't keep us in chains. We got the power, we got the might. Together we can shine, together we can fight. Feel the rhythm in your feet, it's time to stand tall. Raise your voice and shout, we're breaking down the walls. We're breaking free, yeah, we're breaking free. No more oppression, it's out for liberty, breaking free. Yeah, we're taking a stand. Freedom's in our hearts, we're reclaiming our land. We're claiming our land.
What is up, y'all?
Oh, nothing. Just being tired. I'm having a newborn.
How
No
is
sleep.
the baby?
She's getting big already. I had her cracking up this morning. I have probably
She
got like
walking or anything?
Yeah, she was walking. I probably got like 2 hours.
Sher's
of sleep.
got 3 live stream shows now.
She's doing her thing.
Sorry, I cut you off twice there. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good. But yeah, 2 hours of sleep, bro.
I believe it, man. I believe it. I remember it like it was a long time ago, and it aged me a lot.
Yeah.
Terry, what are you doing? This is like Terry's on the charades version of the show. Terry, you can talk. Just unmute yourself. Look, I think Terry got her hair done. Looking good, Terry.
Looking good, Terry.
She doesn't unmute because she doesn't want us to know that she's watching Fox News in the background. She's not even paying attention.
Are you guys making fun because I actually fixed my hair? Oh my gosh.
That's the thing about being a dude is you don't get credit for noticing and you get dinged for noticing. So I should have just left it alone, but So yeah, well, welcome everybody. Nothing, man. Just living the dreams. Gorgeous day here. We're getting the cold spell again, but it was like 80 something here. But
80 something, and that's a cold spell. That's crazy. It is freezing over here right now.
No, this was a warm day. It had been like the high had been in like the low 70s, and now it's going back to that. We're gonna get like in the 40s at night. That's pretty cold for us.
Yeah, I haven't seen a 40-degree day in a while.
Yeah, that's why I moved south. I got sick of all that. That was too much for me to handle.
Yeah, I feel you. I'm debating it. Man, I might be ready to get up out of here, bro. It's a little cold.
You're gonna have some options open up to you at some point here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you waiting? Are you waiting to see what Trump says, or are you gonna have?
No, I mean, I'm just waiting till I'm able to move as freely as I want to. But even beyond like with probation and all that. I'm talking about like financially and just everything good. Like I want to be able to go back and forth. Like if I want to bring all the kids somewhere across the country, I could do that with no problems.
That's kind of what I was meaning though. Like, do you depending on what Trump does, like will that open up faster, or do you know?
I don't know. Not sure. I'm not sure how that's gonna work.
Find out soon here, right? Week from today.
Yeah, man. Last week. It's the last week. Really, I'm excited about the bros coming home, man. That's what I'm excited about. Pardons.
How many people do you know that are still in?
Well, not everybody. Let me see. The only ones that I know that are out are Michael Curzio, Tim Hale, Kenny Harrelson, Scott, Bobby, Ronnie, Stager, and I think that's it. Everybody else that I was locked up they're still locked up.
So how many is that? Do you have any idea?
Shoot. I was locked up with about, after moving everybody, I'll say maybe about 80 people, give or take, because some people were there and then they left and then more came in and then they left and then more came in. So about 80 people. And yes, I did get married, everybody, in case you missed that. I'm a married man now.
When was this?
This was on the 30th.
You got married? No, the 30th?
No, I'm tripping. That's when my daughter was born. See, I'm tired. I got married on the 10th.
Week, right?
I got married on the 10th. Yeah.
Yeah, Thursday or Friday?
Yeah, January 10th. I'm tripping. See, I am like slap happy right now, bro. I'm so tired. It's crazy. It's insane. I'm dedicated to this show though, so I'm like, nah, I was gonna go to sleep. I'm like, nah, man, you're gonna go in there, you're gonna do this show. And here I am.
So from somebody that's not very good at relationships, one tip I'd like to give you is do not forget your anniversary 3 days after you got married. That's my tip to you there.
Yeah. She would get it. She would understand. She's like, no, that's when. I bet you she's watching it right now. She's probably like, no, that was when the baby was born. Cash. The 10th is our marriage day, our anniversary day, January 10th. Yeah. Pretty cool.
Let's say hi to some people here. Oh, Rick's in here. What's up, Rick?
What up, Rick?
Idaho Liberty Dogs. What's up?
Oh yeah.
Cassandra, what's up? Cash says hi.
Yeah, I took that down. You don't even got to put that up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Creole Queen. I'm up on Creole Queen. You'll be so proud of me. I'm up on YouTube and Rumble now, or at least I think I'm up on Rumble. I'm probably broadcasting in an alley somewhere or something on accident, but I've done like 3 in a row on YouTube. Thanks to you, Creole Queen, all your help.
She's one of the best. What's up, Jackie?
Hi. Oh, there's Rose. Hey, Rose. Stephanie.
What's up, Stephanie?
There's B. Thanks for your help too, B.
One of the best right there. I'm telling you. Oh, God. Casey.
Everybody's all nice and hearts and stuff. And Casey's like, where's the Kleenex?
I'm not going to make it tomorrow, Casey. Take that.
Oh, boy. Casey, you want to just ask me now or you want to wait till like 10 minutes ahead of time? Hey, Jackie. What's up, Jeff? Hey, Stephanie. Oh, hey, there's Joe. What's up, Joe?
What's up, Joe?
What's up, V? Mine is 27. That's about goodness. 107 too cold for me. 40s are the high. Yeah, that's too cold for me too. Cash, there was a conspiracy theory floating around that you got married. Okay, there we go. Yes, please hit the like button. Please share. What's up, Sherry? Look at all the congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate that, y'all. So many, bro. The video went crazy. I shared the us getting married, put a little song behind it, spent some time editing, and it went crazy. It's probably like one of my most viewed on all platforms. It's pretty cool.
I shared it too.
Thank you.
Lots of good people here. Thank you, everybody, for coming. Thanks for sharing and everything. Let me do this. Terry will be in the chat, so if you have any questions, Terry will put them up in the chat. And so, Terry, I'll send you back to the control center there. Thank you. All right, so this is our series on race, faith, and freedom. We started this last month, and then we paused to do the 4th anniversary of January 6th, which was really cool. Make sure you're following my man Cash. Look at I made you a new screen.
You're
buddy.
the man, bro.
I even matched the
it.
colors. Look at this.
I appreciate that, bro.
That's Cash's YouTube. That's Cash's X. His Cash App is in his X and probably in his YouTube as well. Or no, this is your YouTube. So your Cash App is in your YouTube. 5 links in there if you want to check him out. He's got 55,000 subscribers. Would love to get that number higher. So if you haven't subscribed to him on YouTube, please do so. I'm on YouTube as well. You just go to Freedom Uncut, the @Freedom Uncut there. And, you know, I was mentioning the January 6th, 4 years later, we did that last Monday. And did you see, dude, we got like over 8,000 views on that so far.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It was really good. And I mean, the guys were just absolutely stellar, just really nice guys. And I mean, I was moved by like how much they shared. And I mean, it was really emotional, you know.
Good brothers, man.
I guess I didn't even really expect that it was going to be kind of like emotional, you know, but it was just like really warm and interesting stuff, you know. So appreciate them doing that. There's my Happy New Year still. And that was part of the original series we were doing From Protest to Prison about January 6th. I would love to do more than that too. So like I think we tentatively said if the day that Trump hands down the first pardons, I think we'd like to jump back on if that works for everybody. So please share this out. If you're on X, hit the share button, make a comment, jump in the chat. The chat is the box within the box. I say that because Casey thinks it's dumb when I say that. So it's the box within the box. So if you're not seeing a bunch of people in the chat, then you're not in the chat. Terry's the new White House press secretary.
Facts.
She'd be better than the one we have now. That's for damn sure.
Facts.
April's here. Welcome, April. I think I said hi to Jeff. What's up, Jeff? Let's see here. We're doing Township Liberation on Thursdays. This Friday we'll be doing Rhino Hunters again. We're alternating between the 2 game shows. Hey, Cash, did you hear that I made up that we were the #1 libertarian game show on X?
Hey, you know what? I'd believe it though. I'd believe it. You got me inspired. I'm over here thinking about doing a game show. Straight up. And plus, I got this cool machine. I could put the buzzer on there and a timer.
There you go.
Give people only so much time to respond before I hit that. You know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Make sure you're following our producer Terry. She's Bats T76 on X. Make sure you're following her and follow the great Waz. I've been pointing this out. Waz has had, we were talking about the great weather down here. He's up north and he's had some terrible luck with the weather. And so if you could subscribe to him or if you can make a donation, he's had a rough string of luck and had some house issues and furnace issues and stuff like that. So if you're feeling generous, 2 good causes are Cash and Waz. So and like I said, please share. So oops,
Stream Deck.
Wrong button.
What is a Stream Deck? What's that?
I think that's the thing that you press with the buttons, right?
Oh no, I don't have that. I got the Rodecaster Pro 2. That's what I have. I want to get that. That's the one for the video, right? So if I have multiple cameras, I can like switch the the view.
You can assign the buttons to whatever you want, I think. So you can you can script the buttons so you can make it go to a certain website. You can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I want one. Definitely want one.
What's the Rodecaster? I thought that was like kind of like a Stream Deck.
No, the Rodecaster Pro 2 is like the best piece of equipment that you can have for doing like what we're doing right now, vidcast, podcast, and it's got like the hookups for the microphones. So, and it's the DSL, the DSL cables. Great quality. I could play with the levels. That's why my stuff always gets messed up because like for this show, for some reason when I came in, it wasn't loud. So I had to mess with it a little bit, but it gives you this crispy, clear quality. And it works perfectly when you know what you're doing. And when you don't, you have like stuff like what happened to me the other day when I came on and then it would just sound super crackled and all of that. It was just horrible. How's it sound right now?
Sounds great.
Yeah, see, that's a perfect setup. You know what I mean? And it does the sound effects. I put music on here, everything. I could change up the pad, so I got literally something for every single sound effect that you could think of. I can put it right there, and it's great.
Rodecaster has the same functionality as Stream Deck. The Stream Deck only has the buttons, not the mixing capability. I feel like I don't need complication. I feel like you guys make fun of me enough, and I'm gonna sell low on that.
I don't think it's got the exact same thing because I can't switch a screen. Like I can't hit a button and it'll go to another screen on this. Thanks, Tiff. I appreciate that.
Bet you Casey's about to say different. Oops. Oh, thanks, Stephanie. Oh, thanks, Sonia.
That's what's up.
Yeah, better than the Stream Deck.
Yeah.
Free, you do not need a mixer right now. That's all I was saying. I would like, if we had a playback button, I would like to go back to the part where I said I did not want to screw up anything that you guys make fun of me enough. So thanks for the reality.
I don't know, man.
Check
this thing's
there,
a lot of fun. Like I could take phone calls on this thing right now, literally. I could. It's dope. This thing is just, it's absolutely amazing. I love it.
This episode brought to you by Stream Deck. Stream Deck, you have no idea what it does.
Yeah.
Somebody said that, like on YouTube, like you do what are those called? Super chats?
Yeah.
So Mini Free, my son, was saying that like super chats, you can do voice ones.
I don't know. The only ones that I know about, like I get super chats when I do a long stream and I'm on for a while and more people start showing up. Like a lot of the people that didn't know I was home or some of the regular people that are here, like main supporters, they send super chats randomly just because they either enjoy the show or they're just trying to support the channel or they want their comment put up. Really, that's what it was for. When I started it back in 2020, when I got the super chat, it was because so many comments was coming through at one time. I couldn't catch them all. So what super chat does is it highlights it for you. It'll be highlighted and then you put it up because you see that, okay, this person is paying to get their comment put up there. So, that's what you do.
Look at this. Just want to say how amazing you are.
Thank
you are
you.
amazing, Cash. If I don't tell you enough,
trying.
Cash, I think you're amazing as well.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. Real talk.
Who is the guy Cash is speaking with? Can't find it on Facebook. Man, it doesn't matter. Unimportant.
That's free,
I
man.
am in the top 3 of people's favorite white co-hosts of Cash, I think is what we figured out. Everybody calls me Free. Welcome, Jeff. I'm on X, and thanks to Creole Queen and B and Terry, I'm on YouTube now too. So
Scientific Libertarian said I pay for all my comments one way or the other.
Scientific is maybe the funniest guy on the whole internet.
Yeah,
he is so funny. Oh my god, that's why that's what made me think of like my son saying that like the super chats you could do the voices for, because like
I wouldn't risk that.
I would love to get his
I wouldn't risk it.
Brought to you by
nope.
Rodecaster. We have no idea
I get too many trolls, man. When a stream goes crazy, which hasn't been of lately, a stream going crazy, it's getting back there. But when you get the trolls coming in, bro, and you allow them to send an audio clip, nah, man, I don't think that would work out well. It'd be something crazy to get you kicked off real quick. I'm safer with the comments.
I think it'd be funny, but Casey will be in the comments telling me I don't need to screw anything up, and that's also true. So if you're keeping score at home, that's whatever my ideas are. They're probably bad ideas. So, yeah, Jeff. Everybody calls me Free. I try to stay a little bit anonymous. I used to be faceless and anonymous, which made it easier than showing my face and not being anonymous. And now my son has come on as well, so we call him Mini Free, and. But I've been doxxed several times for pretty stupid reasons, honestly. And so I try to stay a little bit more anonymous. I haven't been outed in the papers like Cash has, where you Google his name and not hard to find who he is and stuff. So
facts.
All right, so let's get started here. So last time we talked about race and individual liberty. So this is a faith and freedom, and we're talking about race and faith and freedom. So we talked about race last time, and we talked about that race. You and I believe that race should not be a factor that determines our freedom and our ability to have self-ownership. And we discussed how individual liberty should transcend racial division. And we were talking about solutions, about what we call in the libertarian world, what we call voluntary cooperation and decentralization. So allowing communities to take over their freedom and determine how to handle their problems, how to have success, all of those things. Yeah. And so this time what we're talking about is faith and freedom. And, is faith dividing us, or is faith bringing us together? And, what role does the government play in that? And so is faith a unifying force that strengthens our freedoms, or has it become a tool that the government uses to divide us and control us in modern society? So what we want to talk about is, the historical role of how faith has united communities and challenged control and oppression, and how state interference, especially recently, has undermined religious liberty and created conflict. We want to talk about the relationship between faith-driven civil disobedience and the fight for justice, which has obviously been a very important thing in the Black community. We want to talk about ideas of how to reclaim our faith as a source of unity and empowerment, how to have it bring us together and lift us up instead of it being something that divides us and makes us, have more conflict in our lives. So,
I'm excited.
You like it when I hit you with some stats. So let me hit you with some stats here.
All right.
So 62% of Americans believe that the government is increasingly hostile towards religion. 62%. So 2 out of 3 people think that the government is becoming more hostile towards religion. Religious liberty cases in U.S. courts have increased by over 40% in the last decade. So it's becoming something that, people are having to take to court to, keep their religious freedom. Over 50% of Americans say faith communities are more effective than the government at addressing local needs. One we talked about last time, but I just think it's such a staggering fact, but faith-based organizations contribute $1.2 trillion annually to the U.S. economy. So, it's more than just, what we do on the weekend and where we worship. I mean, they're very important, not only to our communities, but to our economies, and especially our local economies. And 76% of Americans believe protecting religious freedom is essential to preserving other liberties. So, why this is important to all of us is, religious liberty is freedom's foundation. I mean, that was a very important thing when we founded this country. And then faith communities have historically fought for justice and fought against tyranny. State overreach threatens your beliefs. Government interference in religion undermines personal and communal freedoms. And faith brings unity through diversity. So faith has the power to bring diverse communities together for shared goals. People of all different backgrounds, whether it's economic or cultural backgrounds, come together with a common unity and, work together. And we talk a lot about localism, especially on Thursdays when I do the show with Mike Decentralized. And faith has empowerment through localism. So decentralizing allows faith communities to thrive and support their neighborhoods. Faith communities are very effective in local communities for solving problems, helping people, lifting people up. And then lastly, faith and freedom go hand in hand. Protecting religious liberties ensures a society where all rights are respected and preserved. So
this is going to be interesting discussion, man.
Yeah. So let me hit you with the questions on the scale. Okay. So tell me whether you agree, disagree, strongly agree, what you think. So we're talking about personal freedom and faith. Okay. So personal freedom is impossible without religious liberty.
Personal freedom is impossible without religious liberty.
Yeah. Can you be free without religious liberty?
No.
So strongly agree?
Yeah, 100% all the way.
Yeah, I agree too. The state frequently restricts religious freedom.
No. I disagree.
Well, I mean, don't you think during COVID that, we saw examples of, people for religious reasons not wanting to get vaccinated and the state was forcing it on people anyways?
I mean, yes and no. Like I say, it's like when it comes down to your job, right? If you're working for the government, and then the government has a mandate for the people or what the qualifications are for you to have this job with them, they're not forcing you to get it. They're basically making it hard for you not to. It's like what they did to me in DC DOC, where they said you can't get a haircut, you can't shave, you can't have a visit unless you get the jab. You know what I'm saying? So it's still a choice. It's a hard choice, but it's still a choice. So
yeah, Mrs. Wild Wolf said, you couldn't even go into a church during COVID. That perfect example of, stopping religious freedom right there.
Yeah.
Speaking of the super chat, thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Gene. Appreciate you. Straight up, thank you.
Yeah. So what if you're an atheist? Interesting question. It was not on my list of questions, but when we talk about faith and personal freedom, what do you think happens to an atheist in that?
Well, I mean, they don't have faith, so nothing would happen. I think that's just, you don't really have a part in it. You don't really have you ain't got a dog in the fight. So you really wouldn't care what happens with a person's religious freedom if you don't have any religion, right?
Well, you have the freedom to have no religion as well. So that's religious freedom would include those with no religion, right? You're not being forced to worship. You're not being forced to go to church. You're not being forced to pray in schools. That you have religious freedom in that way as well.
Yeah.
So, all right. Voluntary cooperation protects religious liberty better than the government.
Voluntary cooperation protects religious freedom better than the government?
Yeah. Basically, we can come together and protect religious liberty better than the government can protect it for us.
That's a yes and a no. It just depends on, I guess, the community of whatever religion it is. That's how I would look at it. That's a loaded question. I mean, I kind of want to say no, because you have places like, let's pretend like Westboro Baptist Church got their way, right? And they would be no other kind of religion or church or anything like that. So the government in that stance with something like that, or like a radical Islamist, the government protects religious freedoms more than I say them people would. So I'm gonna go with no. I disagree.
So I was going to say here, Joseph said, yes, you could. Grace Church in LA fought the government and won.
Exactly.
Well, but that takes resources, right? I mean, anytime you get involved in a court battle, I mean, that takes significant resources. So if you're a small church, like, you know, you and I are both from the Chicago area, you know, where I'm from, there's like, you know, churches on every corner, and some of them are, you know, hold 50 people or whatever. I mean, they don't have the resources to fight the government.
Yeah. Again, though, it all comes down to the choice at the end of the day. And really,
also says it's double-edged, so it's going to divide too.
Yeah. Well, another thing that we got to remember, though, like, especially if you're a believer, right? The church ain't the building. That's just a place where people go to congregate. The church is anywhere two or more people gather in his name. That's church. This could be church right now. You know, so they're not prohibiting you from practicing your religion. They're prohibiting you from congregating. That makes sense?
Yeah. So here's another one. Government mandates often violate religious conscience.
It says often. Religious. You say religious conscience?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I could say that because when you look at like the school system, you know, you got, you know, trans flags, or they're promoting, you know, boys wearing dresses and girls wearing boy clothes. Like they got a gender swap day in some of these schools, and that directly goes against, you know, a person that believes in the Bible, because it says that, you know, a man ain't supposed to wear the clothing of a female. You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. So 100% agree.
Yeah. Mrs. Wild Wolf wants to hear my opinion. So my opinion on this is, you know, I think schools is a good example there, Cash. The reason that, you know, I'm a libertarian, I'm an anarcho-capitalist, and I want things taken away from the centralized power of the federal government and brought locally. So I think that schools shouldn't be controlled by the government at all. And if all schools were private, if you want to have a religious school with prayer, you can. If you want to have a school with no religion at all, you can. If you want to have, you know, a lot of other groups that have influence on your school, you can. If you want to keep it just, you know, very straightforward reading, writing, arithmetic type school, you can.
Ain't that what Trump's talking about doing, is privatizing it and letting the states and really the people have control over what they want the children to learn? And that's the way that it should be. You know, so if you're okay with that and you want your kids to go to a school where they promote, you know, the alternate lifestyle, then hey, that'll be your freedom. You could be able to do that. If you want your kids to go to school and learn about Jesus Christ, they can do that. If you want your kids to go to a school where they're learning about Muhammad or whoever, you could do that. That's the way that I feel it should be. That way you don't have a whole bunch, because, you know, community is diverse these days, man. People don't really move to communities out of you know, the sake of wanting to be a part of that community. They're moving where they're able to, you know. So when you're just moving into a community because it might be affordable or whatever, and you have different belief systems than everybody else around you, or a different way of life than everybody around you, well, then now you're putting yourself and your family in a whole different situation. It's like nobody around here believes what you believe, or whatever the case may be. So I feel like that's the best possible way that we could go, is privatize it, you know, and have people have the choice of where they want the kid to go to school and what they want the kid to learn.
Yeah, I don't know if Trump has specifically said get government out of school 100%. He's talked about ending the Department of Education, which is where a lot of the indoctrination is being handed down from the federal level. That's why they teach to standardized tests instead of lecturing and discussing and doing group projects and things that they did when I was growing up. But yeah, I mean, I think they need to be completely out of it. And,
yeah,
you know, it's to me, anything that gets too big becomes a bureaucracy, and bureaucracies are, you know, very easy to turn into corruption and be able to push your ideals on others, or be able to take advantage of it. You know, we see it all across with, I mentioned the curriculum and, pushing indoctrination, but even just things like they sign contracts with soft drink companies to have vending machines, and they make money off of it so they can fund other things. So they think it's worth it. But at the same time, now their kids are having, things that they might not be allowed to have at home, or might, be unhealthy for them, instead of having a healthy meal like their parents would prefer. So
well, it's the way I look at this, right? Like what it says in the comments, the founders wanted freedom of religion. And, that would be a beautiful thing in America if everybody in the country could be that way and say, you know what, whatever religion somebody is, it doesn't matter if the kids wants to go to school and they want to read the Bible, or they want to read the Quran, or whatever it is that they want to read, then that's cool. They can do that and it not be a problem. But then you get into all these other things that aren't mentioned, you know what I'm saying? Where, they're teaching about sexuality, or they're teaching about, the things that we don't want our kids to know about at an early age like that. There's going to be a time for that where they're going to have these questions later on in life. You don't want your 6 and 7 year old, 5, 6 and 7 year old coming to you and asking you questions about certain things that they shouldn't have to be asking me about. Like, I've had to have these talks already because there's a gym teacher or whatever kind of teacher at the school, dude is, he's a dude, but he doesn't walk around as a dude, but everybody can tell. So at this point, it's just like you're walking around looking ridiculous. And even 5-year-olds see it. And now they got questions. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that should be. I feel like if the government can have a mandate, right? The government can have a mandate that says, we're not going to allow you to work here if you don't get this vaccination. I feel like that there should also be the same rules apply to a school system where the people say, we don't want this in our schools. So whatever you do outside in your personal life, that's you. But when you come in here, you're going to dress appropriately and to the biology that you are. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to be walking around here looking like a clown, because that's essentially what this person looks like. Not trying to throw shade, but you don't look like I'm not fooled. Not even a little bit. Get what I'm saying? So that's my take.
Well, centralization and globalization and corporatocracy take away from local culture and local traditions and local customs. And so if you live in a very religious place, if you live, I use the Bible Belt as an example. Like, if you live in the Bible Belt and you want your schools to reflect that, that should be a local choice, right? If a school wants to reflect local customs and traditions and the local culture, that's up to the school and those that send their kids to the school. That shouldn't be a governmental question or mandate.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like the more that our society falls into degeneracy, the more we're upset about the wrong things. You know what I'm saying? Like, people shouldn't accept things that they're told that they have to accept, and then it be promoted. Whereas you'll get made fun of or talked down to or dismissed if you're talking about something positive, like what we're talking about right now, like, God. You know what I'm saying? If a kid wanted to read the Bible in school, it shouldn't be made fun of by other kids because their parents raised them to be little degenerates, or they are degenerates themselves, the parents. And, have people walking around in the schools that are living a lifestyle that is not, according to my faith, right, is not anything other than a smack in the face. That's how I look at it as. And yet it's accepted and even praised. People get called brave and all these things. And I'm like, whatever you do that's what you do, right? What you do is what you do. But this place is supposed to be for kids to come in and get an education about things that are going to be, that's going to educate them about things when they get into the real world, right? They shouldn't have to be put in front of that kind of situation. I'm trying not to be offensive to nobody because it's not, I don't got nothing against anybody or what they want to do. That's not what I'm saying. Whatever you want to do is what you want to do. But for instance, if I own a business or if I had a school, you know, and I was the superintendent and I make the rules of this school, ain't no way possible I'm letting somebody that don't look like what they trying to look like walk through the school, you know, wearing certain things and your junk still showing and you know what I'm saying, you look ridiculous. It would never happen. I would shame it. You wouldn't even have made it through the door. Like the hiring process, you're gonna look like what you look like when you first started working here, because this person just all of a sudden switched up. They was working there and they was a dude for a long time, and then they switched up and became, you know, a dudette. And it's like, okay, that's not acceptable. You didn't come here like this. I didn't hire you. I hired you when you was Ben, not Bridget. You know what I'm saying? So Bridget, you're fired. That's how I would do it. Because again, that's how I feel. You know, I don't want my kids learning about that kind of stuff or having them kind of questions. And how would you answer that question as the teacher when a kid asks you, you know? So now you're explaining to my kids things that they shouldn't even have an interest in.
Well, and again, it should respect the local culture, right? So if you live in a very diverse place and you want to reflect that diversity and teach all of those things, that needs to be something that the customers agree with. If the customers don't agree with it, then it shouldn't be done. And that's the beauty of America. If you want to live in an extremely religious community, you can. If you don't, there's plenty of places that aren't as well. You know, San Francisco is a great example, right? Like in the 60s and maybe even before that, you know, a lot of gay people moved to San Francisco and created a gay culture there and had a place where they felt like the culture reflected them and the way they wanted to live their life. Nobody's forcing you to live there and nobody's forcing you not to live there, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's the beauty of living in a country that's 330 million people and as large as the country that we have is, you know, you could set up new places that are, you know, people have set up religious communities that are 100% religious, and the school's religious and the jobs are religious, and, you know, they stop for prayer and they eat together and, you know, they live in a communal religious lifestyle, right? But you can't force that on anyone, just like the same way you can't force them to, you know, teach young kids about sexuality.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, and that's the whole thing where you talk about, well, when we talk about like America and what it means to have freedom, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, again, it's just my own personal opinions. I'm not trying to set the status quo. I just wish that we could get back to a place where, you know, that kind of thing wasn't promoted, because that's what it really comes down to, is promoted to the kids. Now, if you want to promote it to adults have the common sense to be like, yo, I like this or I don't. But a kid is still learning about the world. It's learning about what it likes and what it doesn't like and what's normal and what's not normal and all of those things. So when your kid is spending, you know, 6 hours in school and then they come home and they're living the home life, and life at home is one way, but then life at school is this way, and then it's not. It's confusing. You know what I'm saying? They're spending a lot of time in this place. Now, whoever's that kid, the kid's teacher, that is that teacher, man, I can imagine the conversations that them parents got to have with their children. You know what I'm saying? If they are somebody that's got faith, you feel me? It's probably really awkward because I can't go up to the school and be like, yo, I don't want this person, because I know that's not the way it works around here. I can't just go in there. I don't want this person teaching my kid. You know, they're going to be like, well, then transfer your kid's school. You know what I'm saying? So you're forced to just deal with it. But I wish it wasn't like that, which is why, again, I'm glad that when Trump gets in here, because he did say something about making a school choice and private schools, where if you want your kid to learn about that's pretty good for me. I'll take that, you know, because right now it's not how it is. If you live in a certain district, your kid's going to the school, and you might not like any of the things that are taught in the school, but you can't change it because you decided to live here. See what I'm saying?
Quick little side note here. Mr. Anthony Russo is in the comments here, and Russo, I keep this just in case you show up. I brought my name tag, so in case you forget who I am.
Nice.
Russo teaches an excellent speaking class that I took probably couldn't tell as I just butchered that sentence, but I took it and it was really good. And I think he has free slots on Wednesday nights if anybody's interested.
Yeah, Double Down Speaking.
You can follow Russo. He's Truth will set you free on X, and throw it in the comments, Russo, and I'll throw it up on the screen. But just an absolutely great guy. My son loves him, and he loves that he teases me. So I think that he's such a cool guy. So yeah, but if you get a chance, check out Russo's class. It's really good. And then Gene did 5 Cash Kelly memberships.
Gene. I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, doubledownspeaking.com right there, Russo, in the comments. Anybody that's interested. Gene, you're a rock star. I really appreciate you. Thank you for the support in the channel.
Yeah, Russo's doubledownspeaking.com. Really worthwhile if you get a chance to do that. That's something I'm working on, and Russo's kind of my mentor on that, and I'm trying to learn more and get as good as him. He does actual TV and radio, and he's excellent. One
of the best speakers there is, no lie.
Absolutely great.
Straight up, the brother is one of the best speakers that I've ever met. So,
reading Russo's book too, great book. So, yeah. So back to we got some comments here about what we've been talking about. Joseph, who I was messaging with Joseph, or we were in a thread on X, and he just has such great thoughts on religion, and so I always listen to him very carefully when he speaks because he's such a wise guy. But go back to the basics. The teaching begins at home, and
facts.
Yeah, and you don't want government indoctrination changing that, whatever it is. Now, for you, Joseph, and for me, and for Cash, and for I think a lot of the people that are in our comments, that's based in faith. We talk about faith in our homes. We want to raise our kids in faith, but for some people that's not. And you don't want your kids 8 hours a day most of the year going somewhere that conflicts with the teaching that you want your kids brought up in.
Yeah.
You're awesome, Russo. Yeah, God should be the center of everything. Absolutely. Yeah, so Rhonda's here. Welcome, Rhonda.
What's up, Rhonda?
And yeah, so the next one is I was talking about decentralization. Okay, so decentralization protects personal and religious freedom. Agree, disagree?
Explain to me what decentralization is.
Decentralization is, instead of Washington, D.C. telling 50 states and all of the counties in those states and every town in those counties what to do, you choose from a local level what to do.
Okay, so basically everything is centralized in D.C. Decentralizing would be it goes back to the states.
Correct.
On some levels, yeah. On some levels, I agree with that.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I mentioned that that's a big part of my political beliefs, that to me, centralization used to be a key to having a great country because, back before technology, you brought the smartest people all to one place, got all of their opinions and then sent that out to everyone else. Now you can do like what you and I are doing. We're 1,400 miles apart and we're sharing our opinions over the internet live.
Yeah.
We don't need DC to tell us what our opinions on this should be or what we should be talking about. We can go out and do the research ourselves. We can talk to experts. We can, I interview you all the time. We have the ability to gather information ourselves and make our own decisions. So we don't need DC to tell us anymore what we needed, back in the 1800s or, a long time ago. So I think decentralization allows us to choose the life we want to live, keep our communities great, and, have success in our own communities the way that we want to.
Yeah, I can agree to that. Especially when you see the government, DC doesn't tell you all the facts about everything. And you got literal regular journalists, regular people, everyday Americans finding out truths or delivering truths because they live in the area or they had some inside information and it comes out, and now you got this distrust for your government that's supposed to tell you and keep you informed what's going on in the world, and they don't do it on some levels. They give you misinformation just to spread a narrative. So yeah, I feel you.
And 2A Giant says, or the media, same thing. The media, NPR is the government, right? So they're pushing information through NPR. A lot of people that I talk to think we don't need that anymore. Again, used to be important when that was the only way to get information, to try to make sure that there was, what the government was hoping was unbiased information, which we now find out is probably more biased than any other information source. But, we don't need that anymore. So we don't need to fund that anymore.
Yeah.
All right. So my next one is faith communities should operate without state interference. Agree, strongly agree, disagree?
Yeah, I guess I can agree to that. Depending on what the interference is over. Obviously you need state interference if you got a Catholic church that's diddling the kids. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, I mean, it just depends. What are we talking about?
I think that's Russo there. So, yeah. So, I mean, I think that there should be no state interference at all, 100% without interference. So you shouldn't be able to tell anybody, whether they can wear religious clothing, where they can wear religious clothing.
Well, yeah, and
if they read the Bible, when they read the Bible, any of that.
Yeah, in those instances, I agree with you. But when you got some shady stuff going on, then yeah, I would definitely want the state government to definitely interfere 100%.
Yeah.
That way you don't got to go to prison, or I ain't got to go to prison. You know what I'm saying? And they do their part and clean up the mess that's created and the corruption that's inside. But like I say, it just gets a little muddy, man, when you got a government that you don't feel is cleaning up the mess, period, with their own selves that are doing corrupt things. So how can they hold somebody else's corruption or wrongdoings? How can they hold them accountable when they're guilty of the same or worse?
Yeah. And, I mentioned last time that I was a Catholic, and, the FBI, Christopher Wray, who is resigning to not get fired by Trump, he admitted in congressional hearings that, that they're spying on religious groups,
on Catholics,
and, particularly anti-abortion groups. And, there's a lot of Catholic anti-abortion groups or pro-life groups, and that they're spying on them because the Southern Poverty Law Center has a lot of them listed as hate groups on their hate group webpage because of their protests and their pro-life activities. So when the government's allowed to spy on religious groups, I think that's a huge problem.
Yeah, I agree. Especially when you have other organizations that are literally capable of some terroristic ideas that are voicing them, and they're not investigating them. That's mind blowing. Where's the investigation into Antifa? They spent all the time saying that Antifa was a myth, that it wasn't real, it was an idea. Yet you're going after people for being Catholic? That doesn't make sense to me. Again, promoting degeneracy, rewarding degeneracy, making it okay. As long as if you're doing anything that's something good or positive or godly, then how are you on the radar? You know what I'm saying? How are you on the radar just for your religious belief? It doesn't make sense to me.
And B points out, and labeled as domestic terrorists and put on watch lists. and Jericho mentioned that the FACE Act created that problem 100%. Gene says, I don't put faith in our government for anything. Yeah, I mean, that's the problem with the government interfering in our daily lives is, they could push one religion over another. They could decide one religion's more important than another, or they could decide a religion's worse than another and assign intelligence assets to spy on them and try to, basically take away their rights or imprison them or take away their religious freedom.
Well, I'll be thinking about this stuff like conspiracy wise, right? It's like, why spy on religion? Like, why spy on Catholics? I think about that. I think about all the stuff that they do and I think about what it says in the Bible about in the last days, how to be like how it was before. And, Christianity has a history of being persecuted. They used to do a lot of crazy things to Christians, and they're doing them right now in some countries. They're persecuting Christians or people that believe in Jesus Christ. And I wonder sometimes if, the FBI isn't like basically making a statement, because you're not investigating like, Islamic terrorism. You're not investigating Antifa or anarchists and want to just take out the government. You're not investigating these people. You're investigating people of faith in Christ who called people to be basically peaceful. You know what I'm saying? Unless you get on that, but I wonder if it's not like all a part of the whole prophecy, about the end times. And then if they starting it right now, then where's it going to end up? Because what we haven't seen in America yet is the flat out persecution of Christians, like how we have in other places around the world or in history that we've read about. But I wonder if that's not something that's actually coming, especially when you got people like, you look at the Pope. The Pope had literal idols set up in the Vatican, for people to worship because that was their faith. And that is literally like the definition of apostasy. You're supposed to be a representative of God, and you're allowing this to happen. So obviously people that know their scripture, that may, be Catholic, have a problem with you doing these things. So now, if you're basically setting them up to be angry and to have to stand against you, aren't you like kind of with the government in the sense of you're setting up a potential terrorist, because that's what they're saying. You're intolerant. If you disagree with the Pope having them, they're practicing their faith, because it's all the same God. That's what the Pope says. It's all the same God. It's just they're using, even though literally Moses was told by God, yo, they down there worshiping the calf. Dude got so mad, broke the commandments, and said, look, you on this side or you on that side? The ones who was on that side, they was gone. And you got the person that's supposed to be allegedly the representative of Christ on the planet, got idols in the Vatican, supposed to be a holy place, worshiping these. So are you trying to create terrorists? That's my thought process on it.
Comments are great. Keep them coming. Keep putting them in the chat. We're trying to get through as many as we can. We were talking about Russo a minute ago. Yeah, his lives are great. He's doing lives at like 9 a.m. They're excellent. So yeah, if you get a chance, check those out. Set alerts for his X so you make sure you get those. And then I mean, this is crazy. Stephanie's considered a domestic terrorist. Her mother found her on one of the lists. That's crazy. Insane. Are you pro-life, Stephanie? Is that what happened? Yeah, I mean, that's just nuts. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's they passed one law to hide, all of this spending and upping their salaries and putting restrictions on, and adding more surveillance and taking away our civil liberties and our freedoms and our religious freedoms. Yep. That was FISA. That's the spying on Americans without a warrant is against religion. 100%. So, what's her name? God, I can picture her. The Trump's nominee. Gosh, what's her name? The Democrat that she was a Democrat and now she's one of Trump's cabinet nominees.
I have no idea.
Well, but she came out and she said that she's going to support FISA, and not Bondi. Bondi's anti-gun. Barrett's the Supreme Court justice.
I don't know who you're talking about.
Terry, help me out. The Democrat from Hawaii. What's her name? Tulsi Gabbard. Thank you. Tulsi Gabbard. That she came out and she's going to support FISA and she's going to uphold it. So, that's a huge problem to me. And I don't think people get what a big deal that is.
I'm telling you, bro. When you ever seen that movie, Revelation? You ever seen that? It's an old movie, like from the 90s. And in that movie, bro, they literally got if you're a Christian, if you profess the name of Jesus Christ, they got you on a watch list in this movie. And they literally create events like you had a bus of children that they blew up. And they blamed it. The government did this and then blamed it on the Christians so they could target the Christians. And then they go in and they arrest the Christians and put them in concentration camps. And when I was a kid, it used to I'm like, this can never happen, right? And then you read the Bible and it says, I don't know, something like this is going to happen. It's going to be, if you literally, you're going to have to take a mark or you ain't going to be able to live in this world. And then you see where we're headed today. Like no one thought in a million years that the government will put Christians on a watch list, number one, label them extremists because of their views, number two, and number three, nobody thought that they would have a literal chip that they can plant inside of you. And then I've been looking into something that somebody commented on yesterday and said that they're creating a smart city. So I started looking into what is a smart city. Apparently there's smart cities all over the world right now. Like China is real big. China's got it's cashless over there. They dang near got a whole cashless society in China. And when you see that, and then you see like Elon Musk, right? You see, I like Elon, but then at the same time, I'm like terrified of what this dude could be, what he could bring, what his technology could introduce. Maybe that he's not responsible for bringing anything in, but what it can mean as far as like my faith goes, right? And nobody thought in a million years that they would be able to put a chip in you, to track you or to make you be able to pay for something or no one, but it's written in there, but nobody understood when they talk about putting a chip in your right hand or your forehead. And you're like, no, that's crazy. But here you got, you got the Neuralink and they literally put it in your head, and then you got China where they literally putting a chip in people's hand and they just wave their hand over when they leaving out the store. And they kind of like implemented a little bit over here without, it being inside of you. So you got your phone and, they Apple Pay, you put your cards on your phone, all of these things and you're using your hand to scan. So when is it going to be where people are just like, so used to paying with their phone and there's no cash and everybody got a card? When is it going to be to the point where they're like, okay, we got them like in this system that we have, it's a lot more convenient. And that's how they push it. It's convenience. It's safer. Nobody can take your identity and all these things. When are they going to say, all right, government mandate, if you're an essential employee or you work for the government, we're upping our security because we have so many domestic terrorist threats over here in this country. We got to make sure that everybody is who they say that they are and they can't fake an ID badge. We're going to put this little chip in your hand and it's going to scan you when you walk in. You know what I'm saying? It feels like that we're going there. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, somebody in the comments here nailed it. Where is it? Yeah. You're not alone, Cash. Yeah, Elon Musk is working on that with the Neuralink, right? And then what's to say, like, Cash, you went to jail for January 6th, now, you're an insurrectionist. What's to say that they won't say that you need a chip in you or you need some sort of neurological control, whether it's a chip or drugs or whatever it is. Like,
well, that's
very,
the thing.
very slippery slope.
Well, then people wonder, like, oh, so they're really, because in the Bible it says that if you don't take the mark, like they're gonna kill you, according to the Bible. You're gonna die. So you start thinking about things like that, where okay, you introduce it to the inmates, right? Okay, you get arrested, you're going to prison. We're gonna put this mark in you. You're like, you ain't putting that mark in me, and now you're fighting off getting this mark. And what happens when you fight the police in prison? You could potentially die. That's excusable. It's excusable. And then imagine if they got most of the world to accept the technology side of it. It'd be like, no, this is just more convenient. This is the wave of the future. This is what everybody's doing around the world. And society as a whole, majority says we want this. So now you're putting people, and guess who the people are that are going to have the problem with this mark? It's not going to be Muslims. It's not going to be Buddhists. It's not going to be atheists. It's going to be Christians. It's kind of like it's just setting up the stage, bro. Only Christians, because of their knowledge of the Bible, where it says you're going to have to take a mark and you won't be able to buy nor sell. You won't be able to do anything without this mark. So it's literally setting the table for Christians to be taken out or punished.
Sonia asked what FISA is. FISA is the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act. And again, you got to watch government overreach, because it's framed as they're gathering intelligence on terrorists in foreign countries that want to come here and hurt us. And then they've expanded it to, well, now Americans. They're going to do it in America. And now, like, they're going to do it against domestic terrorists, which apparently pro-lifers are. And like, it's written in a way where if you call a company and they connect you to a foreign country to talk to their help desk, so your phone's not working, they connect you to a foreign country, somebody helps you. If that person's family member is on a terrorism watch list, you're now on that terrorism watch list, even though all you did was call a call center because your phone's not working or whatever the thing is. So it's written in such a broad way. The United States has surveillance on over 80% of all the communications in the world, whether it's phone, text, email, internet, all of those things. They take 80% of all of that, because most of it's routed through the United States with our tech companies, and they take all of that and do surveillance on it. So like almost everything you're doing is being surveilled. So, and that they can do that without a warrant and, basically build a case against you before you've been accused of anything. To me, that's a huge problem. So anybody that's saying I support FISA the way it is today is, someone that's a deep state person. And I have no respect for that at all.
So a couple things. First, I want to say thank you, Gina. Gina gave a super chat. Says, I will never get any jabs. Mark of the beast. 100%. I feel that. I'm not going to say it's just the jabs. I think that that's a way that they kind of like prepare you, for it. And then I want to move down, because Joseph says it doesn't say only Christians all will have to take the mark of perish. Again, that I feel you. That's exactly what I'm saying. But the only people that are going to have a problem with it is people that have knowledge of the Bible. They're all automatically. And you'll have some people that don't know nothing about the Bible. Like, I ain't getting no chip in me. You know what I'm saying? But people that have knowledge of the Bible are going to be like, oh, no, I know what that is. Well, I've read about that. I've been taught about that back in Sunday school. You see what I'm saying? So it's setting it up for literally for Christians to be able to, for them to be able to do what they want to do towards Christians. And then if they, let's say for argument's sake, and this is out there, it's probably, it seems like a conspiracy, but what if they did label, Christians as a domestic terrorist group because of their religious beliefs? And if you didn't take the mark and you're not a Christian, they label you as one. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, I don't know. It's all crazy to me when you start thinking about all this stuff.
What do you think of this?
The church will be gone before that happens, Cass. Those who will remain will finally realize that they were right about many will be martyred during the tribulation period. I mean, I that's the pre-tribulation rapture. that he's talking about. I don't subscribe to it. I think that we all gonna have to go through it. You know, from what I read anyway, the way I understand the Bible, we're all gonna go through it to some degree. We won't get the worst part of it. Like when it gets to like the seventh seal and you heard a great trumpet, you know, from when I read the Bible anyway, when that sky receives like a scroll and the final punishment comes, that's when I believe the rapture happens. He takes everybody that's alive and remaining and brings them to himself, so they don't got to go through what he's about to do to the world. But that's my interpretation. It's not a prerequisite for salvation or anything like that. It's just my own belief. I hope you're right. I pray to God that there's a pre-tribulation rapture. I just personally don't subscribe to it. I think that we all gonna go through it. That's what I believe, you know, up into a certain degree.
Back to FISA, Jericho says that it's okay to lie to the FISA court. Well, I mean, Ray said that in 16,000 cases, they were supposed to get warrants and did not. And then Congress expanded their ability to do surveillance without warrants because obviously they're so trustworthy. Why would we want strict controls over them when we could just trust them to be trustworthy when they've admitted that they're not trustworthy? So, as you can tell, I have opinions about this one. 2020 was the setup. I mean, 2001 was the setup. I mean, the Patriot Act sent us down this slippery slope of, you know, surveilling us for our protection,
safety. Yeah, for your own safety.
Yeah.
You know.
Sonia said, thanks. Yeah, no problem. Happy to do it. And Gene says you guys got to check out Mark Millay and the direct energy weapons on J6. You heard about this?
No, I'll check it out though.
Sounds interesting.
I'm gonna check that out. That's right up my
alley. Melanie said, gotta check out the book Left Behind.
Yeah, we read those when we were locked up.
Let me see here. And going back a little bit, Gene says our government supports every religion except for Christianity. Sure seems that way.
That's what I feel. Yeah. Exactly what I feel. Everything, in my opinion, everything is an attack on Christianity. You know, that's the way it feels. It's just not to the point of them taking your life yet.
Kitty Cat says, love when you guys do this. Thanks to both of you. Appreciate it, Kitty Cat. I like hanging out with Cash.
Oh, yeah. It's always good conversation, man.
We have different opinions on stuff and totally different points of view and ways of looking at stuff and ways of getting places, but we end up in the similar area somehow. So,
yeah.
That's the unity that we're talking about with religion, right? Like your religious beliefs and my religious beliefs are a little bit different, but there's enough commonality that we can use that as a unifier and you know, talk about government overreach in that, you know, same type of thought, right?
Yeah.
This one sounds scary. Project Bluebeam plans to use your beliefs to project images and audio to make you believe that God is talking to you.
Yeah. I mean, could be. They did it in Hollywood. That they were promoting this movie, and they would literally, when people would walk by it, it would target them and project the sound into their head, like advertising the movie, and nobody else heard it but the person that was targeted. It's pretty insane.
Grill Queen says, I feel the same way that they only attack Christianity.
Yeah.
And then did you see the gentleman that was charged for silently praying? Did you see this? I didn't see this either. I believe it though. Doesn't surprise me at all. I can't. Oh boy. Getting an alert that I got too much crap open. All right. There it goes. Hit it. So back to my list here. Actually, go here. Read this one while I'm closing some stuff. Would you, Cash?
Nobody can take away your personal relationship with Christ. Deep down in every man, woman, and child is the fundamental idea of God. our body is a temple of the Lord Jesus Christ and lives within us. I feel that, you know. For me, like I say, man, I'm a very faith-filled person. I try not to project my opinions or, you know, my thoughts on faith to anybody because of what it says in the Bible. Let every man work out his own salvation with fear and trembling in the Lord. You know what I'm saying? I'll have a conversation with somebody who is of the same faith as me in terms of, you know, like how we're talking about the rapture or pre-tribulation or post-tribulation or whatever. And we can have those conversations, but I know that they're not going to be divided from me because of it, because we have the same fundamental belief, you know, of salvation, which that's the only thing that really matters. I hope that everybody's right about pre-tribulation rapture. I just personally don't believe it, but doesn't mean that you're not saved. So the things that don't, you know, that don't pertain to salvation, you know, and come down to an interpretation of how you read the text, I don't give it too much thought. It's fun discussion. It's fun to talk about. But yeah, no, I mean, every person does got every person on this planet does got a bit of the Heavenly Father in them because he breathed life into Adam. That's the only reason why we live today. You know, every human being that's alive on this planet has an essence of God, which is life. You know what I'm saying? In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God, and the Word became flesh, you know, and that's what Jesus Christ is, you know, God in the flesh. And that's what human beings have, that he came to remind them, you know, but you got to accept it because a lot of people live in the flesh. I spent a lot of time living in the flesh. Hell, I still fight the flesh, you know, but not everybody wants to accept that or wants to hear that because they don't care about the relationship more than the religion. Some people value their religion more than their relationship with God. You know, some people just want to be right. So they're not a part of a religion to try to help you. They're a part of a religion to try to say you're wrong and I'm right. See what I'm saying? And I don't like to get into that with people. I don't like to have those discussions. I used to do it all the time, and it's a pointless conversation, you know. And it says in the Bible to stay away from that. Stay away from pointless conversations that they don't benefit you at all. So, and Joseph, I'll be receptive to that, man. Maybe we could do a space. We'll do a space because you seem like you got some knowledge, and I'll give you my why I don't think, you know, or why I do think the way that I think. And yeah, we could chop it up and talk about it, as long as it doesn't get, like I say, as long as it don't get toxic, man. You know, because if it's not a faith issue, to me, it's really not all that important. You're muted.
Thank you. Churches are more interested in what you give them financially than what they preach. What do you think about that, Cash? We've talked about that a little bit.
It depends on the church. It depends on the church. That's why I say, man, you gotta get in that word yourself, and then you'll see. You know, like right now, this can technically be considered church because you got people in the comments and myself talking about faith and talking about Christ. You know, certainly some churches obviously are all about the money, and you can see that. I don't got to say who they are, but it's a choice. And I always tell people this: the devil don't make people do anything. You know, he just presents you with an option, and you either choose that option or you don't. You know, so when you choose to go to a church or you choose to listen to a pastor that you know something ain't right or it's off or it's not biblical, or, you know, it's just it's evil at the end of the day, and you choose to stay listening to this person or you stay going to this church, well, I mean, that's your choice. That's your choice. And that only really happens when people don't read their own Bible. Once people start reading for themselves and asking God for guidance in the scripture on what's right and what's wrong in this world, then you just start to slowly, you know, change and move yourself away from things and then move yourself into other things. And that's actually happening in my own life right now. You know, I'm hesitant on creating some of the content, you know what I mean? Because I'm more conscious of my relationship with God. And I ain't where I need to be yet, obviously, but I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I know I'm headed in the right direction. And I try to stay, you know, thinking about God before I do anything, you know. And once people get to that, that's I guess where you'll find your path.
Joseph says, "Oh, it won't. You're right. It's not a salvational issue."
Yeah, I would love to talk to you.
I was just gonna say, my church is hearing you, Cash.
Man, that's a big thing right there. That I appreciate you, Rose, and I love you, but that scares the crap out of me. You know, because I'm just me. I'm just trying like everybody else. You know what I mean? I would love to do a Bible study too. I'm with that. We could do that.
And then Creole Queen said, "I value a relationship with God."
All day.
All right, so I want to shift gears here. I want to talk about religion in the state. So we've talked about it a little bit so far, but the separation of church and state is essential for protecting religious freedoms and our personal liberties. I want to talk about a little bit about how the state's involvement in religious matters both undermines our faith and as well as our freedom. Okay. And, so the question becomes, does the state respect our religious liberty, or is it a threat to our faith communities? And the facts I have about this one are 67% of Americans support strict separation of church and state. So that's 2/3 of all people. Religious freedom cases, like I mentioned, in courts have increased 40%. 43% of Americans believe that the government is too involved in religious affairs. Faith-based schools outperform public schools by 12% in academic achievement. And 60% of faith-based charities have reported interference via state regulations. So, it's not just in our faith life, but it's in the good works that religious organizations are doing as well. And I think that that's an important one that we need to talk about a little bit. So back to the agree or disagree questions here for you, Cash.
All
right. Faith-based schools should operate without state control.
Agreed. Unless, again, some weird stuff's going on, like, So I guess it just depends. Depends on how much control, how much control. Like you can't violate laws at the end of the day. That's how I look at it. You can't do something to a child. That's against the law. You can't violate somebody. So anytime somebody steps outside the law, then no, I disagree. But if they're within the law, then yeah, 100%. Stay out of it. Ain't got nothing to do with you. Shouldn't be involved in it at all.
So, yeah, I mean, I guess from my point of view, it's if you take the government out of schools altogether, and then people have a choice of schools, whether to go to a faith-based school, not a faith-based school, schools that teach, a broad variety of cultural and different things, or if you want somebody in a straight STEM school that teaches the basics and technology and science and those types of things. If you get the government out of that, then I don't think the government should interfere with it at all. The problem I think that you're addressing is if there's just one school and the kid just has the choice of the one school, then, that's why people think that the government should be involved in that, because you shouldn't be able to force anything on a public school, right? Like, separation of church and state means you shouldn't be able to force religion on a kid in a public school, right? Yeah. So, but once you get the government out of that, then the government should have zero interference in schools of any sort. Now, like you said, a crime's a crime. If a crime gets committed at a school, that's a crime. If a crime gets committed at a gas station, that's a crime.
Well, then yes, I agree with you then.
Okay. How about faith-based charities should be free from government oversight?
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, perfectly timed. Mrs. Wolf says, prime example is the Amish. Look what the state's been doing to them. I forget, they made like a bunch of homes for the hurricane victims, and the government's making them stop. And They're building these standalone single homes, like tiny homes or whatever they're called. They made them like 25 grand each, and they made like dozens of them in one weekend. And now the government's saying, cut that out at a cost of 25 grand each, while people are like living in the snow in tents.
That's
and,
crazy.
You know, can't even get hotel rooms, and they're telling the Amish to stop doing that. So,
yeah. Not a shock to me though. It's not a shock.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I also think that, and we talked about this a little bit, that, you know, let the religion have the oversight into the organization. So say a church wants to have a childcare program. The church should have oversight over that more than the government should have oversight over that. You know, like if you're part of a faith-based community, you're kind of, you know, giving your approval of them regulating that. You don't need the government to also regulate that.
Well, I mean, if this is, let's be real. If these churches, right, you look at the mega churches, if they would just step up, if these leaders would just step up, you wouldn't see a lot of the issues that you see at all. You wouldn't have to depend on the government, and it would bring more people to God. You know, if they would just literally step up, use the money that you're getting from your congregation to help your congregation and the surrounding people who aren't a part of your congregation that you hope would become a part of the congregation, ultimately becoming a part of the congregation of faith, period. You know what I'm saying? Whether they end up going to your church or not, they're seeing exactly how a faith-filled believer works, you know, and what that means for the community. But they don't see that. They don't see that. They don't see churches out there anymore like how my church used to do when I was a kid. My church would come out. We had sidewalk kids, you know, it was in the hood. They would pull that bus up, jump out, water balloons, some scripture through plays or games. And, you know, they feed you, all of that. And then they'll come out and we'll do not sidewalk kids, adopt a block. We'll go and literally clean up the community, picking up needles and broken bottles and all the stuff that's in the community that can harm somebody, you know? And they didn't get paid to do it. They just did it. They just did it and asked you if you want to be a part of it. And in the process of you doing that, like we went all over. We went to Gary, Indiana, and we ministered to people, you know, on the street, on Broadway. We out there cleaning up Broadway and just talking with people and feeding people. They brought food. And so that's what the church's mission is right there. How else are you going to spread the gospel if you're not doing nothing to show somebody why they should listen to you in the first place? When they ask you, yo, why are you out here cleaning up? Well, because I'm a believer. You know, I want to see everybody has something good around them. You know, I want to see cleanliness next to godliness, you know, so we clean up this area to make sure, you know, it could be a little more godly out here for people, or however you explain it to them. But you're doing something to even have the conversation, to be able to have the opportunity to have the conversation. And the churches don't do that no more. Well, a lot of churches, I'm not going to say all, but a lot of churches don't do that. It's all about the play. Come and watch this big play that we're going to put on. We're going to spend thousands of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars to put on a play for you guys. So just come and you can come and watch this play and learn about Jesus. Well, I think the best way for somebody to learn about Jesus is if you were emulating Jesus. It's not going to be through this play. They can get that through a movie, but nobody's enacting it. You don't see people out there in the world actually living it, putting their money where their mouth is. You'll spend all the money on the play, but yet the congregation's hungry when they leave. They're going back to a house that ain't got no food. Some of them only came there because their heat got cut off, so that it's going to be warm in the church, and it's a nice little family gathering and they could get there. You know what I'm saying? And nobody's thinking about these things or holding these people accountable or saying anything to these big pastors, man, because they're okay with it. They've forgotten what it really means to actually be a believer.
Amen. Not to brag, Cash, I'm getting pretty good at this, and Terry's live from Rumble, so it did work. I'm a little bit surprised. I hope Casey's here to witness my technological success. And so I have the Rumble going now. You have to set that up separately though. It's kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah,
but,
I know. It's
yeah.
the same thing with Instagram.
Yeah. So that's how you find us on Rumble. I would not have known that, but thank you, Terry. And yeah, so I think that, you know, when you empower churches, you know, you can do, you know, religious organizations, whether they be like the actual religious organization or the charities within religious organizations or faith-based organizations. Amazing things can happen. And, you know, somebody was saying to me, well, you know, if we get rid of the government safety net, who's going to take care of people? And I'm like, charities help people now while we're taxing them at an oppressive level. So if you get rid of that taxation, that's all this money that could now be spent in charities. Like people could give more to charities. People that are giving 10% of their income to their church that are tithing, if you give them back the 30, 40, 50% that they're spending on taxes, now they could double their tithe easily, right?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I mean, Casey's there to witness my success.
It's insane, bro. It really is. The amount of money that some of these churches bring in is crazy. When you see a pastor driving around in a car that ain't nobody in his congregation got, or taking his family on vacations where his church is in the hood and ain't none of them kids going on vacations, you know, the pastor's kids is dressed nice compared to all the other kids around him. The pastor himself is dressed nice compared to the people of his congregation. And you're not doing anything for your congregation other than, oh, they put on, like I say, they put on a nice play, you know, for Easter, or they put on an Easter egg hunt, or they did, you know, a nice Christmas play. They got this nice display. So what? So what? You can literally turn on, you ain't even got to have cable. You can literally turn on the TV and watch all these things at this time of the year. What are you doing every single day in your community? Because if I'm not mistaken, one of the mandates is to take care of widows and orphans. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of kids that ain't got parents, and they might not be orphans in the sense that their parents gave them up or they're not alive, but they're not present. There's a lot of children right now that are orphans that have a parent in the home, is what I'm saying. There's a lot of women that ain't got a man in the home. Maybe he didn't pass away, but he might as well have, because he ain't there. It was supposed to be about community. Jesus himself went out and literally fed a whole bunch of strangers, sat down and fed everybody, didn't ask him nothing. They were just there. They was hungry, complaining they was hungry, and he gave them something to eat. You know what I'm saying? And then you got them verses in the Bible where it says if somebody asks you for your shirt, give them your coat also. If somebody asks you to walk 1 mile, then walk 2. Jesus literally raised the bar on him. He said, look, give in abundance. Give in abundance. If somebody needs something, then you meet that need and then some. And that way you're doing great. And you're showing them the love of God, because that's what God does for us every single day. Every single day, he gives you more than what you need. Every day. You could complain about your life if you want to, but we all have more than what we need right now. You have more food in your refrigerator right now than what you need for the day. Right now. You have more clothes than you can wear within the day right now. You have more than what you need. Everyone does. So if you're a pastor, you're responsible for God's flock, and then you got people in there that are hungry, that don't have food. You got people in there or in your community that are homeless, and they show up for the soup kitchen on Saturdays when you do the soup kitchen, and you feed them on Saturdays. That's it though. Just Saturday. And the pastor don't got a job. The pastor's job is just to go and preach on Sunday. So why you don't got them doors open every day? All that money you spent on your nice mansion, why don't you spend it to build on a homeless shelter and help rehabilitate people and get them on their feet? Hire them in the church. You know, you don't got nothing going on. Well, here, we're going to help. We're going to hire you to do maintenance around the church. We're going to teach you how to do it. And we're going to, whatever. And it's helping all of society at that point. You got more people for the kingdom of heaven, and you're helping society in this life right now. And it just doesn't get done. But they still flashy.
Thank you, Gina. Gina says churches have forgot how to serve their communities.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And then they got this gospel now that's just about prosperity and how it's okay. God wants you to have an abundance. God wants you to be rich. He literally told people to sell everything that they had and come and follow him. You know what I'm saying? You kept all the law? Yeah, I done did that. I keep all the laws. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? Oh, okay. Well, now I want you to go sell everything you got and then come follow me. And everything that was made, it got put in a treasury. And they used that to go and do for the community of people. He told them to go and get some loaves of bread and some fish for the people with the money that they were given, because people was given. So with the money that we got, okay, yeah, we're going to take that. We're going to give it right back into the people. It's not happening anymore. Not on the scale that it needs to be. You can end homelessness and hunger in America right now if all the churches just came together and put their wealth into one pot and lived within their means, lived like regular people and not celebrities. Ain't that something? You got pastors that are celebrities, getting lip jobs, getting butt lifts. You know what I'm saying? Got the flashiest suit that you could think of. That reminds me of a Pharisee. Jesus walked around in rags. He said, the Son of Man don't even got a place to lay his head. But, you know, who am I? I'm just a lowly, you know, former street nigga. It got a little bit of truth in him. That's all.
Well, and I want to be clear, too, that we're not saying all churches are like this. We're saying that some are like this.
Yeah, there's a lot of great churches that are small 100%. Churches, yeah, that do for the community. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about these mega pastors. I'm talking about these churches that they're not mega pastors, but they operate like one. You know what I'm saying? We got one out here in Indiana, the Family Christian Center. I love the church, the people. That's great. It's great. But what are you doing? You know, my man's got highlights in his hair and all types of stuff. You got the church out there in Gary, the Baptist church. They make sure if you become a member of their church, they taking 10% out of your check and you have to agree with it. It's like a contract. You know what I'm saying? And yet Gary is in shambles. What are you doing for the people of Gary? Pastor got a nice car. Pastor got a nice suit. Pastor looking fly. You know what I'm saying? And the staff looking fly. But what are you doing for the community? You ain't doing nothing. You're not in a mega church, but you operating like one. You know, you want to be there. You want to get there. They want to make the books. You know, let's create a book and sell the book. You know, they got all the nice things inside the church that's not in the community. You know, you got a Starbucks in your church. How you got a Starbucks? There ain't no Starbucks in the hood. How you got a Starbucks in your church? You know what I'm saying? It's all these little things. How much did you pay to get that Starbucks in the church? Why do you got a Starbucks in your church? It's things, and it's just my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel right.
Yeah, and you know, so from the libertarian standpoint, if we get rid of, you know, the regulations that impede churches from being able to do what they want to do, you know, like you could make the case that the mega church exists because it's hard to have small sustainable churches. So if that corner church that I was talking about earlier can operate very easily on its own, pay its bills, keep its doors open, do its mission, then I think people would do that over the mega church. The benefit of the mega church is some of these smaller churches are, you know, have issues with stability and sustainability because it's so hard to operate anything in the way that it's set up in America today, that people like the reliability of knowing I'm going to this one church every Sunday. It'll be there a week from now, a year from now, 5 years from now.
I don't know. Again, I think it's just for the free concert, cool lights, and you know, the way you feel when you go. Like when I go to the Family Christian Center, it's great. It feels good, and that's all it's about. is feeling good on that day, and then everybody goes back to their lives the next day. You know what I'm saying? Right after church, you go back to living your life, and that's not the reality. It would be a far better thing to see these churches out in the community Monday through Saturday, and then Sunday, yeah, we're gonna go to this big building that we got. You know, we got a real big building for everybody. Everybody's welcome, and then we're at work again Monday through Saturday, telling people about this building that we got, to where they can come and they can get some food, and we're giving away canned goods, or if you don't got bread, we got bread over here. We got a real storehouse. You know, people forget what tithes was actually for. You tithe 10% to the storehouse. They weren't giving money. And Malachi, when it talks about that's what the verse that they use for tithing, it wasn't money. They weren't giving them money. They were giving them 10% of the food for the storehouse. So, and if ever a time came where somebody's hungry, we could feed them. You know, back in the day with the Levitical priest, you know, and they were bringing the goats and the lambs and the whatever animals and the incense and all those things. That was because the full-time job of the priest was to pray for the people and be there for the people and have them doors open for the people. You know what I'm saying? So they took care of them so that they can eat. They weren't giving them money. They were making sure that they could eat so they can function to still do their job. And they've perverted what it means to give. And they don't give anything back to the people except a good word to help them itching ears. You know what I'm saying? That's it.
Patrice says she's attended several small Episcopal churches that have an abundance of donors. Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if we made it as easy as possible for churches to exist. That's basically my huge point there.
Yeah, it's like
people are loving what you were saying.
I appreciate it. You know, it's just real. You know what I'm saying? You got members in your church that have been faithful members for a very long time, and then they get a diagnosis, you know, and they got to go to the doctor, and they don't got the money to pay for the whatever the bill is, but pastor's taking his family on that yearly vacation. That should never be. Like, it was, yo, you've been a faithful member to this congregation, and Jesus was all about healing the sick. So we're not just going to pray for you and anoint your head with oil. No, we're going to also put in some action, because God did put doctors on this planet. So we're going to pay for your operation, and we're going to pay for your your medicine, or whatever it's going to be. That's the way that it's supposed to go. That's the way that it's supposed to go. Yeah, prayer is good, you know, but you also got to have some action. You can't just believe that, you know, your sickness is, nobody hears Jesus. Nobody hears Jesus. Not saying that a miracle can't happen, because I believe miracles can, but at the same time, you got like Benny Hinn. We'll use him. Benny Hinn has a mega church and a couple jets and all types of stuff. And he has people come to his church in hopes of a miracle. They're praying for miracles with Benny Hinn. And Benny Hinn lays hands on people and heals them in front of the whole congregation, right? But if they don't get healed, it wasn't because God didn't want to do it. No, it was because you lack faith. So now you literally are tearing people's faith up, because they got all the faith in the world, but it just wasn't enough. They came to your church. They came from wherever they came from to come to your church because they believe God's going to heal them and that you're the person that's going to do it. And now you doo-dooed all over their faith, you know, and don't tell them the truth. And now you're really just conning them. You're really just a con man. You ain't capable of healing anybody, because the healing don't come through you. You know what I'm saying? And it's the congregation, man, the as a whole, you know, on a big scale, the church can literally take care of all the problems that the people of faith in this country are faced with on their own with the wealth that they've acquired over the years of mega churches and mega pastors and wannabe mega pastors and wannabe mega churches. If they all just came together and said, you know what, we're going to do the right thing, they can literally end all the problems, man. Hunger, homelessness. They can help medical bills. They can help people not lose their house, you know? It's a lot. It's a lot they could do. It's just, I don't know. I'm being a little judgy right now on these mega churches, but it just always bothered me. It's always bothered me since I've been young. I've been with this same message since I've been a kid. Anybody will tell you that. And, you know, That's how I feel.
That's why I was asking you about it, because I don't think people talk about it enough, and I've heard you talk about it multiple times. So I find it very interesting.
Yeah.
Stephanie mentioned that there's over 150 churches in her community. Not one has a homeless shelter. Mm-hmm. Now, that could be what Cash was talking about, but at the same time, that could also be the government doesn't allow it, right? And so when it's 150 churches, my guess would be the government is preventing that, not anything within the church. What do you think, Cash?
I don't have an excuse for them. I'm not going to give them the government excuse, because when you're making the kind of money that these mega churches is making, or these even smaller churches that are making a lot of money, I've seen it growing up, right? You're going and buying properties. So why not buy a property and make it for the church for homelessness? You know what I'm saying? Why not make a program like Pastor Jay from the church that I went to when I was a kid growing up? He bought this apartment building on Claude Street and turned it into a place to house people that were, I had to stay there one time. I had to live there one time because I didn't have a place to live. And they literally gave me a place to live. And I was not living my best life. That's the kind of work that churches do. That's Pastor Jay. That's a pastor. If anybody has not followed Pastor Jay, go on Facebook to The Gate. It's called The Gate Church. I'll share it on my page. Go and follow him. He's always got a good message, and he's been a great pastor to me since I was a kid. I'm always going to love Pastor Jay because he put the work into the community. He cared about the community. You know what I'm saying? Ain't no excuse about the government not letting nobody do nothing. That's fake. That's not real. They can, if they can make the money that they make and go and buy houses for themselves and their children, or not, they can definitely get a property to help with the homelessness, or, a food shelter, or a food pantry, or whatever. There's no excuse.
Well, here's a story from a couple of years ago, a church in Oakland that twice a day feeds the poor. 200 people get a hot meal. The city of Oakland Park threatened to start fining them $125 every single day. And the fines added up to over 200 grand.
Why?
For feeding the poor.
I got to look into that. Like, what's the reason for it? Just because they were feeding them, or did they have something going on that, like, having too many people in a building that wasn't, capable of holding that many people, or what was the thing behind it? They can't just fine you for feeding people.
Basically they were breaking the law for, that they weren't allowed to, like, whether it was some sort of code or, something they were doing wrong there.
I don't know.
Like you could, they could try to treat you like a restaurant. You have to pass, inspections and all those types of things.
That's only if you're selling food. That they ain't got nothing to do with charity. That's only when you're in commerce. You know what I'm saying? You making some type of money. And
no, I think anytime you're preparing food or feeding anybody, you have to meet the health code standards.
I don't think that that's true. They can't come to my house and tell me if I'm not meeting the food standard for my, for my home.
They absolutely can. They
could come and tell me not to cook they could tell me not to cook my food with so much salt.
They could take your kids if they think that you're, not feeding your kids properly.
The malnutrition? Yeah, that's something other than, you cook something the wrong way.
Anybody that's had to deal with, like, DCFS or something like that, they can really go after you.
If the government did that, then shame on them. But again, if all the churches came together, that would not be a problem, because they would have a place. They can hide. There's a lot of cooks in the churches, even in the small churches, that cook, and they can do that. Man, I swear, God, the moment that you let me become a million, billion, whatever, I'm gonna show these churches, and I'm not no church. You know what I'm saying? I'm I'm not a pastor. I'm not none of that. But the moment that God does give me a means to be able to do these things, I'm going to show him exactly how it's supposed to be, bro. How it's supposed to be done. That's all I'm going to do. That's it.
So here's one from last year. This is California. A church in, I think this one was Ohio. Where am I? Yeah. So this is in Bryan, Ohio, and a pastor filed a federal lawsuit against the city of Bryan because officials threatened to shut his church down for housing a handful of people in violation of zoning rules. And they were given a notice to appear in court on more than a dozen criminal charges, including lacking proper kitchen and laundry facilities, having unsafe exits, and using improper ventilation. The zoning ordinance in question says people cannot eat, sleep, wash their clothes in the district that the church is in, which is zoned for commercial usage only.
That's insane. But again, when you believe the Bible, though, what's it say? This world is run by Satan. You know what I'm saying? So it's not a shock that they want to prevent you from doing some good and make whatever rules they want to back it up. Like it's okay. It's wrong. You're feeding these people. You talking about you can't house homeless people and feed hungry people because of your laws. It could be harmful to them. There's no safe exits, bro. They live on the street. They're starving. Like, make it make sense. It's crazy.
Let me go through the questions here because we're coming up to the end. In the chat, do me a favor and let me know if you like this, if you want us to do more about this. Like, this is our second one in this series about race, faith, and freedom. Please let me know. And if you have any additional questions, Michelle said we couldn't serve food at our school in Nevada because of health standards. Casey says, just like if they catch you in the act of a crime, they'll find where you find the mistake on your taxes and charge you with that. Mrs. Wild Wolf said feeding the homeless is illegal in some cities in the United States. These cities have passed ordinances that ban or restrict food sharing in public places.
That's
what I'm talking about. John says, I used to enjoy pitching in dinners and the elderly ladies competed on their dishes. Because most people think the homeless people choose it on purpose, Brenda says. Thank you, Rose. I'm glad you liked it.
Love you, Rose.
She's awesome.
Yeah, she is.
Caps here, welcome. Tax the churches. Interesting. What do you think about tax the churches? Should churches have nonprofit status?
No, don't tax it. You don't even tax the people. No taxes.
That's it. I mean, if there should be no taxes on people. I'm interested to see what Trump does with this whole tariff idea, but I don't think you church taxes. I don't think you should tax individuals either. So, and then Jericho, I think me and Jericho would get along. Government steals our charity, and that's exactly it. We would like to do charity and they steal our money to prevent us from doing that, or they make it impossible to do it, like these two cases that I was just mentioning.
Yeah.
Patrice says, when someone asks for help, help them. Read that again. Amen. Stephanie's there. Casey, that's what it warms my heart when I hear Cash say beautiful libertarian things. Oh, thank you, Priscilla. Yeah, Vicky as well. Thank you.
Yeah, I love doing this, man. I ain't gonna lie. This is
we did the game show on Saturday. It's on my YouTube and on my Cash wasn't on this week, so if you're following just Cash, you didn't see it, but it's on my X and it's on my YouTube. We did the Libertarian one. I don't think Cash is ready for the Libertarian big leagues, so he was on the Rhino one. No offense, Cash.
No, it's all good. I'm thinking about starting a show, the same concept, except making it like the Bible, like you don't know your Bible, or you're not a real Christian, or something like that, and then just ask, because I know the Bible like the back of my hand, so just ask questions. And have the little cool sound effects and, I'll just make it fun.
Yeah. Steal the idea, man. Make it fun. Creole Queen, thank you. Stephanie said yes. Yeah. People are digging it. Yeah. I'd like to delve further into this, as you know. I mean, I've got a bunch more topics and stuff. So it sounds like people are digging it.
Let's do it. Come on.
What is my channel? I don't know. Do I know? Oh, it's I'll show it at the end. It's very confusing. There's a lot of stuff, Cash. I'm just a goofy game show host, really, is what it boils down to.
You're dope. You're dope.
There's my ex.
Fantastic moderator, I'll tell you that. You're the best moderator in the game.
Jericho, the Libertarian Game Show was hilarious. Thank you. It's there we go. Creole Queen's got me. Between Terry and Creole Queen, I almost have this pointed in the right direction, Cash. I feel like it's not going completely off the rails. So, yeah, that would be great, Cash.
Let's see if I can set it up, facilitate it.
And then there's Cash's. We're almost at our time here. Anything you want to pitch other than that? I'll throw up your screens while you're talking.
No, just if you guys could, first off, thank you for liking the videos and sharing the videos out. That's the biggest help when you share the content out and, you like it. That helps with the algorithm a lot. This is how I make my money. This is how I support my family, is doing this stuff right here. And also our merch store, awakenotwokestore.com. If you guys can go and get a shirt or a hat or something like that, that'd be great if you want to support that way, where you're not just giving money and you're not getting anything back. But if you're that kind of person, like, no, I don't need anything, well, then obviously you can donate through the super chat or, the Cash App or the PayPal or whatever. And if you don't want to do any of those things, but you still want to give, then we also got Streetlights Unity Movement. We're trying to adopt a bunch of kids, man, and sponsor them for the YMCA. All right. So if that's how you want to contribute, you can do that as well. And 100% of that goes to the kids. So we're trying to sponsor as many as we can in the area, because there's not a lot to do out there, and we try to keep the kids out of trouble. And the way that we do that, we're going to partner with the YMCA and get them in there, So if you're interested, it's a Give Butter link. Casey, can you pull up the link, the Give Butter link? There's a new one. Can you drop it in the chat for us so we can throw it up on the screen? I'd appreciate it. Other than that, guys, that's about it, man. I appreciate you guys sharing the content. I got a new YouTube channel about to be dropping. I'm going to be putting long form content up there. It's called Know and Grow. It'll be conversations like this on top of like some history, some Bible truth, talking about faith. And yeah, that's about it. That's what I got going on. I've been working hard at it. I'm telling you. One day it's going to pay off big. I can feel it. There's the link. The Give Butter link is in the X chat right there. So it's givebutter.com/2025 general campaign. Okay. That's it right there. So if you guys want to donate to that to help these kids, I would have greatly appreciated it. I'm sure they would too.
Here's your Facebook. I don't have that on mine. Yeah, the Awake Not Woke store. And yeah, share the replay, comments on the replay. That, Cash is 100% right. Anything you do helps us out with that. The algorithm says people really dig this, so that's what we need. Yeah, so let me just add this back.
Janty, my man Janty in the chat. That's my brother. Ahui. That's my bro right there.
I have no idea what you're talking about, Cash. You lost me.
He's from Jordan. You know, I grew up with all his family. They're all Jordanian and Palestinian.
I thought you meant Michael Jordan.
No. It's my brothers, man. They from the Middle East over there.
Yeah. So we'll keep doing this race, faith, and freedom, and that's two of Cash's channels to follow him there, the YouTube and the X as well. And then that's where I put my YouTube. I knew I had it somewhere around here, so that's my YouTube. And Terry's been putting it in the chat as well. Terry's also got, the Cash app right there, so that's a good one too. Help Cash with that new mouth to feed and make his life a little easier. And there's the Facebook one. And so I think that was it.
Anybody that's watching this in the Chicago area or the Hammond, Indiana area, East Chicago, Indiana, go to Lovin' Oven Pizza. All right. It's on the corner of Martha and Kennedy Avenue. Lovin' Oven Pizza is right next door to ABC, the ABC store that I started at, that I used to run. I used to manage that store. If you guys ever are in the area and you want some great pizza, go there. All right. Lovin' Oven. Go there and get some of that pizza. I love that pizza. I'll forever love it. And it just reopened. That's the cool thing about it. So, they got the A game going hardcore right now. Go if you haven't.
Yeah, I'm with Casey. Florida, the pizza is terrible. That's really one of the big drawbacks of Florida. So I'm hungry for pizza as well now. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Wild Wolf.
Yes.
And nice of you to say. There's the Cash App link too. So, all right, buddy. Back on Thursday with Mike Decentralized. We're doing more on, if you want to learn more about libertarianism, and particularly on Thursday, we talk about localism, how to empower your local community, how to keep your community great, how to keep your culture and do the things you want in your community without the interference from the federal government, how to organize, how to do grassroots movements, how to protest, do all those things to keep your communities great without being taken over by the globalists and the centralized government and the corporatocracy that wants you to shop only at big box stores instead of awesome pizza places like what Cash is talking about. That's what we talk about on Thursdays. And then Friday we'll be doing the game show again. So which store? Are you talking about the Wake Not Woke store?
Yeah, wakenotwokestore.com. And I'm about to get back on Freedom Box, you guys. I've been slacking so hard. I'm going to get back on there. So I didn't say nothing about it today. I got to get myself together and get back at it.
Woke one.
Janty said anybody that comes to the pizza place and says that I sent them there gets a special 2-for-1 pizza. There you go. Y'all heard it here. You want that 2-for-1 pizza? You say I sent you, you got it. That's it.
Yeah, I miss Chicago pizza. What's up, Zach? Awesome. Well, thanks for doing this, Cash. This was fun, man.
One last thing. If you guys can, look up wherever platform you're on right now, look up Suni Blanks and go and follow her. They've been taking her platforms down. She's a little edgy. She's she does a lot of political talk.
It?
Soonie, Suni Blanks. Y'all go follow her if you like political content. She's amazing. And show her some love, man. And prayers up to her because, I know she was having a rough time. So y'all put some prayers her way as well. And yeah, go help her get her platform back on track. All right.
Yeah, it's at Suni Blanks on Twitter.
There you go.
At SOONIE Blanks BLANKS. I just hit the follow. So
thank you.
Help people out, follow each other, do all that great stuff. Building communities, a big part of this, both from the religious, part of this that we're talking about with unification as well as the political part. So nothing wrong with following each other and building our community bigger. So
They changed the name of Love and Oven Pizza. It's Goomba Pizza now. What? That sounds really good. Goomba Pizza. I want some Goomba Pizza. I'm about to have to go out to Hammond, man, and go get me some pizza. Do a little commercial for you guys. Throw it up on the Hammond page.
Is that on the Chicago grid? Because that's about as far south as I'm from.
It's right there, right when you leave Chicago going into Indiana. You hit Hammond. It's right there.
All right. Yeah, Suni Blanks, right? Like that. Suni Blanks.
Yeah, y'all give her a follow, man. She's real discouraged right now because she's put a lot of work into her platforms back since 2020. You know what I'm saying? And they keep on taking her stuff down because she's very opinionated. So give her a follow, man. Help her grow her platform on X, especially, y'all. Let's get her moving over there. I think that's the right platform for her because it's more freedom of speech. I know people got their reservations about it now, but it still is a nice place for freedom of speech. So go and follow Suni. Tell her I sent you. Say Cash sent me. All right.
Awesome.
Love you too, my bro. Janty.
Dude, yeah. Good stuff. And I know you need to get back to the baby. You're doing your dad thing. You need to get some sleep. You got all sorts of stuff.
I haven't eaten at all today. I'm about to go make me some food and then I'm gonna lay down. I haven't ate anything at all today. You know, I went back vegetarian, so I'm like,
oh boy.
Yeah, I'm doing my well, not all the way vegetarian, but mostly vegetarian, right? I haven't had nothing but vegetables and fruits for like the past 3 days. And the other day before that, I had like some fish. And then I'm back, before that, it was just straight vegetarian. So I've been, pushing it, getting this health right, and then going back to the gym tomorrow. Thank God I need that. And yeah, man, I'm just trying to grow these platforms, you guys. So thank you so much for your help. I appreciate you guys, man. All of y'all that show love, that stay in the comment section and you stay sharing it. Shout out to my moderators. I really appreciate you guys. You make this a whole lot easier for me. So thank you. I really appreciate you. Casey, whatever. And yeah, I hope y'all have a fantastic night, man. And God bless each and every one of you.
Yeah. Good night, all. Thank you, Terry. Follow Terry as well. Bats T76. She's waving back there. Let me just add this real quick. There is Terry. Follow Bats T76. And I mentioned Waz earlier. According to Waz, follow him as well and subscribe if you can. So awesome. Thanks,
right,
y'all.
so.
See you soon. If not, next Monday. Peace out.
Peace.